Maybe the simplest geometric shape you can draw is the point. Just a single point of color just sitting there on the screen. It's really easy to make. Just call point with an X and a Y, and processing just draws a dot there. The point routine doesn't pay any attention to your fill color. Everything depends on the stroke. So you set your stroke color, call point, and you get a dot. Because points are so simple, an individual point doesn't do much for us. Points begin to get interesting when we have large numbers of them. Let's take a look. Here's a sketch where I'm drawing tons and tons of points, and they're randomly varying from red to yellow, so we get this kind of an orange feeling. There's a lot to like about this picture, including how it grows and fills in over time, and it has a kind of a cool, gritty, sandy kind of a feeling. But we can actually do something much more subtle and, to my mind, more interesting. Remember that every color has a fourth value in addition to red, green, blue, or hue, saturation, brightness, which gives it an opacity. Here I'm drawing each point with an opacity of 25. That's 25 out of 255. So it's really just at 1/10 brightness or 1/10 opacity. Look at how beautiful this fades out, the smoothness of the edges, this kind of cool transition from the dense center to the much less populated outsides. We haven't talked about all the techniques that I'm using to draw this. We will, but I want to show you how drawing tons and tons of points at low opacity can cause them to add up in a really beautiful way. Let's look at another example. We haven't talked about curves yet, but we will. In this example, I'm drawing a ton of curves using points, and the points are at very low opacity, and I'm just letting them add up as one goes on top of the other on top of the other. The beautiful thing here is look at where these curves are beginning to pile up one on top of the other. We start to get these really beautiful organic effects. These kinds of textures, these sort of stringy patterns, things that are fading away, these are characteristic things that you get from clouds of points. So far, we haven't talked about a whole lot of techniques for you to create these kinds of clouds, but as we go forward, we will add more and more tools to our toolbox, and you'll be able to apply them all to creating clouds of points. If you look in the sort of bottom right of this picture, this almost feels to me like chalk on a really toothy paper. It just feels like there's a lot of ridges and valleys and light and dark areas, and I love that feeling. I love that texture, and it just comes naturally from drawing tons and tons of these just barely opaque points, one over the other, and letting them accumulate. The sketches in this video have generated tons of points using some techniques that we haven't seen yet, but we will soon. In the meantime, you can start experimenting with points now, and as time goes on, you'll find more and more ways to use them.